Hello and welcome to, for me, I call it Gratitude Month. November is Gratitude Month, and welcome to Tina's Joyful Kitchen. I'm Tina McDermott, the lazy inspirational chef. And today's show, I'm going to teach you a couple of recipes that are just have lived in the ages, long on the ages, and a lot of my clients who try these recipes use them every single year. As a matter of fact, they emailed me, hey, what was that recipe? Can you give me that recipe again? Oh, sure. I gave it to you last year and the year before. And basically, the butternut squash stuffing is my mom's Italian stuffing, but instead of using breadcrumbs, I don't use breadcrumbs, I use butternut squash. And feel free to go back to last year's episode where I show you how to peel and cut a butternut squash, okay? So we're gonna get started with, of course, my cast iron skillet, and we're going to cook up some sausage. Now, you don't have to have sausage. You could also, it helps if these things are plugged in. You don't have to have sausage. You can do ground chicken. You can do something else. And I need a moment. This thing is not working. Fine, not working at all. Can I have the other one, please? Yeah? No? Oh, now it's working. Just kidding. Okay. Just kidding. Here we go. All right, so we're going to brown up our sausage. Now, when I buy sausage, ground up sausage, I get it, it's pastured pork. Okay, pastured pork, and you're sure not to have antibiotics, okay? A big old tablespoon of some coconut oil, maybe a little less, okay? And we're gonna fry up our sausage. Now, here we go. Every Italian needs to have a wooden spoon, if not 20,000 of them like I have. Okay, this touched meat, so I'm gonna put it right in the sink so we don't touch that again. And we're gonna fry up our sausage. Now, this is going to cook in the oven. The oven is on at 375. This whole thing is going to cook in the oven for about 60 minutes. But I like to have the sausage cooked in advance for the stuffing. So you're just going to break up your sausage. I never considered myself a gadget girl, but I did have a gadget to break up the meat. It was a really cool gadget that's got these 4 little pieces. I don't know. It broke up the meat nicely, but I never used it, so I put it away. So I don't know where that gadget is. So handy dandy wooden spoon works for everybody. And okay, so while this is cooking up, what I'm gonna do is chop up my onion. Oh my gosh, it's already made. And then we're gonna chop up some celery. My wonderful assistant did that for me today. And chop up some mushrooms. So we've got all of that. We're also gonna chop up some parsley. And of course, we've already cut up our butternut squash, so we don't need that cut up yet. Okay, this will take just a few moments. It's already starting to smell really good. And we're gonna get some garlic ready too. Do I have garlic out here? I had a big head of garlic somewhere in my life. Oh my goodness, I got it, okay. I like a lot of garlic in this. So we're gonna cut that open. That is how you open up a big head of garlic. You smash it. You smash it up and just getting stuff ready. Yeah, I call November Gratitude Month because they call it, Thanksgiving is in November. And we celebrate with families, we get together for food. Of course, we always need food. But take the time to list some things that you're grateful for in your life. List out all the things that you're grateful for in your life. From all the little things, from a wooden spoon and a cast iron skillet, to the big things. You've got the love of your family. You've got your health. Your health is so, so, so important. And so think about it as we're cooking here today. What are you grateful for right here, right now, in this moment? Is it something big? Is it something small? and list it out. One year I made my clients gratitude jars. So the jar, I decorated it really pretty. It says thank you or gratitude or appreciation, and then I had these little slips of paper and a pen. So I put a pretty ribbon around the jar and I gave it as a gift to everybody. And the idea is, as you go by the jar, you write on those little pieces of paper one thing that you're grateful for, and put it in the jar. So you've got a whole jar of gratitude. So there we have our gratitude month. We have our gratitude month. Okay, this sausage is almost done. It doesn't have to be perfectly cooked through, but I just want to get all the pink out of it. I'm going to get a spatula too. And the spatula is going to help me get some of the stuff off the bottom. And that's not bad that there's stuff sticking on the bottom. It's actually good. It's yumminess that's sticking to the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of salt here. Just a little pinch of sea salt, nothing crazy. I'm going to put a little bit of black pepper in this because we want the meat seasoned. We're going to season everything in here, but I want the meat itself seasoned, okay? Not a ton, but enough. Okay. Here we have it. Always have a bowl ready. Have a bowl ready to put all your stuffing ingredients in. And here we go. This pan is going to be too heavy for me to pick up these days, so I'm going to do it this way. Okay. Put it right into your pan, right into your bowl. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's a little bit of oil left in the pan. I'm going to turn that back on. And here we go. Onions. Chop up your onion, put it right in there, okay? Chop up your onion. We've got our celery. Put that in there. Move that around. My oven just beeped, so that means it is coming to temperature. I'm going to throw my mushrooms in there. We're going to heat all of that up. Cook all of this up. Cook all of that up. I'm going to put a little bit more salt right in there. A little bit more black pepper. Freshly ground black pepper. You know, I always use freshly ground black pepper because it pops the flavor. Now, there's something else that you can do here that really pops the flavor. There's something else you can do. These are red hot chili peppers that my dad grows and then he dehydrates for me, and he strings them up and then I put them in this jar afterwards. I just want to get that nub off the top. I don't want that. This happens to me when I use the hot pepper, so I think I'm not going to use the hot pepper. Hold on a second. I had the heat on too much, too high, and it needs a little bit more. I'll get to the hot pepper in a second, okay? I had the heat on high and it needed to be on medium, and it just started to burn a little bit, and the smoke was getting to me. So I'm not going to put this hot pepper in there because it'll make me cough. But when you put the hot pepper in there, it will pop the flavor. Not because you want to make it really hot and spicy, because you want flavor in there, and you could always dig that out later. Unfortunately, it's not going in today. It's not going in this batch. Okay, we're going to do some garlic, and we've got my garlic press. There we go. You can peel your garlic ahead of time, or you can just leave the peel on. It's just a little harder to squeeze with the peel on. A little bit more stuff that you have to pull out afterwards. You can do 2 cloves, 3 cloves. Remember, fresh garlic, great for the immune system. You don't want to kill everyone with too much garlic. And I like garlic cooked personally versus raw. Raw is hard to digest. Raw garlic is really hard to digest. So I like it cooked, and we're sauteing it, so it's cooked in here. Okay, and it's cooked. Remember, go and look at the episode from last year. Go and look at that episode from last year where I showed you how to peel and cut a butternut squash. Now, remember I said I don't use breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs are full of gluten, and they're really difficult on the digestive system, especially the brain. So I use butternut squash as my filler in this stuffing, as my filler. So you're not going to get any gluten. Your brain is going to be happy. And this is raw. I didn't cook this. This is raw. And you can do smaller pieces. You can do larger pieces. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want. It's all good. Put that in there. And we're going to cook this up for just a few moments. Just a few moments. And if I feel like it's getting dry again, if I have it on medium, it's 320 degrees on my induction cooker here. We're going to let that cook. I need a lid for this. I know I have a lid somewhere in my life. I'm going to turn the heat down. Thank you, Square. My wonderful assistant. I absolutely love her. And I love my film crew, too. Okay, so I'm going to let that cook. I'm lowering the heat just a little bit, and I'm going to put a little bit of broth in there. I want the turkey broth for the soup. I want to show you something. My husband has recently had some kidney issues, so we're really taking a good look at sodium. And I've got both organic chicken broth. This one's low sodium. So let's take a look at the difference. The regular one has 550 milligrams of sodium for a 2,000 milligram maximum a day. That's a lot in one cup. Whereas the low sodium one has only 140. I think we're going to go for this one. So as that's cooking, we're going to put a little bit of broth in there. Now you can do regular broth, or you can do, that was about a half a cup. I don't measure. And you can also do bone broth. If I talk about bone broth in a lot of my episodes, because bone broth is full of collagen, which is good for your skin, connective tissue, and your digestive system, your whole gut. Really good for your gut. Okay, so let's get started here. We have started. This is cooking. Let's give that a few minutes. Let's put in here everything else that we need for the stuffing. Garlic is in here. I like parsley. Oh, how can you tell parsley apart from cilantro? I wanted to talk about that. Do I have flat leaf parsley here? Does anybody know how to tell apart parsley from cilantro? I know that I had a whole bunch of cilantro and parsley. Cilantro has a smell to it. Parsley, nothing. Like nothing. Nothing at all. It amazes me every single time. Now, of course, you've got your flat leaf parsley and you've got your curly parsley. I thought that they were both beautiful, so I bought them both to show you. They have the same flavor and no scent. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely no scent. So parsley is really good to detoxify your body and your liver. It also cleanses your palate. So I'm going to show you, as I always do on all my episodes when I do herbs, how to cut the herbs and keep the essence of the herb in the dish and not on your cutting board. I say this often, and I don't think often enough, so let's just do it. You see how I shaved the stems off? We don't want to leave any green on your cutting board, so I just bunch up my herbs, my parsley in this case, and I'm going to slice it once, maybe twice. And you're not going to leave any green on the cutting board. And you're going to look at your fingers the entire time so that you keep your fingers. Do not slice unless you're looking. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to slice one more time this way. I want them just a little smaller. But I did not macerate my herbs. I did not macerate them. And you will see there is no green juice on my cutting board. Just a piece of onion skin. That's fine. Okay, so we've got parsley in there. I want some eggs in there. So this is still cooking. We're just getting the rest of the stuff ready. Another kitchen hack, always crack your eggs into something separate. Otherwise, you might get a bad egg and it would ruin all of that wonderful pastured sausage that we just cooked up. Okay, so we've got eggs, parsley. We're going to put a little extra salt in there. That's too big. I don't want that. We're going to just do a half a teaspoon of salt. I don't want a ton of salt. We're going to do more freshly ground black pepper. We're going to do about a cup of the broth. And I want to make sure, always check my recipe just in case. Mushrooms, squash, parsley. Oh, I knew there was something I was forgetting. I knew there was something I was forgetting. Sage. I love sage. I bought this little sage plant, I think when I bought my house some 20 years ago. And it's this big, it's humongous. So I went out there and I cut a couple of branches off. There's nothing better than fresh herbs. So if you can grow one thing, I used to have a huge garden, and now it's just too much for me with the 3 dogs, the 2 cats, the husband, my life, my business, everything, that I only grow herbs now. So I have parsley, I have basil, I have mint, and marjoram, and sage. But the sage, you do nothing to it, nothing, and every spring you get these beautiful purple flowers, and it's absolutely very aromatic and gorgeous. So if anyone wants to make a sage plant, oh, I can make a sage plant out of that one. It should root. If I just put it in water, it should root in a couple of weeks. And I can give somebody a sage plant as a gift. Oh, what a great idea. Give sage plants as a gift for the holidays, because we're always thinking about what can we buy for this one? What can we buy for that one? What can we make? What can we grow? And it grows from the heart. Isn't that beautiful? I just came up with that. Grow from the heart. What can you grow from the heart? By the way, when you cook your turkey, stuff it with the sage stems. So aromatic, these sage stems, that will give you can even brine your turkey in the sage stems. But what I would do is break it up, and you'll get more of the oils, the essence of the sage. It's wonderful, okay? So I don't need this much sage. I don't know why I was talking and I was just picking the sage off. But let's see how much sage we really want. Okay? And then I'm going to chop up the sage with the same kind of attitude as I chopped up the parsley. Okay? You can do as much sage as you want or as little sage as you want. Okay? I think sage is just it marks the holidays. When I start smelling sage in foods, it's just like, oh, it's holiday time. It's time to what? Have gratitude. So remember the same attitude as cutting up the parsley, bunch it all up, and we're going to cut our sage just once. Look, not everybody has fresh sage in their house or growing fresh sage. Feel free to use the dried sage. Just make sure it's not too old. Okay? If it's too old, it's just not going to have the flavor that you want. And if it is old, run it between your fingers, and the oils from your fingers will activate it. Okay, so we have our sage in there. That'll cook up with everything. And all we're missing now is the stuffing stuff. All of this. So let's see how this is doing. Let's move this lid. And my butternut squash is starting to cook. I'm going to let that cook for about another 5 minutes. I'm just going to let that get soft, and we're going to let it cook for another 5 minutes. What you could do also, I forgot to tell you, you could use frozen butternut squash already cubed. You could have thrown that right in there and it would have cooked up right quick. Or you could have, and this is what we're going to do for the soup, and I'll just talk about it now while we're waiting for that to cook up. What I did is chopped up the butternut squash as you saw it, and put it on a baking sheet and baked it, 400 degrees for about an hour. I just kept checking it. And this is completely cooked, and now this is ready for the soup that we're going to make in just a few moments, okay? So we've got the butternut squash done, and all right. We are almost ready. I'll be right back in about 5 minutes. You ready to start tantalizing turkey soup? It is so easy. It's easy. I always start, of course, with A little bit of olive oil. I love my olive oil. Love, love, love my olive oil. About a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons. I don't know. I did it all in Italian, as we say, al occhio, which means by eye. I just kind of pour it in. It's the way I do things. Here again, you can use that hot pepper. You can also put a hot cayenne pepper right in the olive oil and it activates it. Unfortunately, you don't want me to do it, otherwise I won't be able to continue talking to you as I'm breathing in hot pepper. So there we have it, and then we're gonna do some onions. We're gonna do about 1 onion is perfect for this soup. You don't wanna do too many, that's a lot of onions. And once again, we're gonna do some garlic. This time the garlic is already all chopped up for me. Put that right in there. We're gonna put a little bit of salt in there. A little bit of salt. And remember, Italians have a lot of wooden spoons. A lot of wooden spoons. So we're just gonna cook up these onions for a few minutes as they become translucent. Okay, what else do we want in our turkey soup? And that's a question I want you to ask yourself. What do you love? What vegetables do you love? And those are the ones I want you to put in your turkey soup. If you like celery, put some celery in here. As a matter of fact, I think I do want some celery in here. I think we have some extra celery. So I'm gonna put some celery in here. Let's just chop up this celery real quick. Onions and celery and even carrots go hand in hand, but since I'm using butternut squash, thank you, Square. Since I'm using butternut squash, I don't want to use carrots as well. And so we wash the outside of this, and this is the heart of the celery, and this is my cheat. I keep it all together and I just slice it. Yeah, I know, this is my cheat. As long as you make sure that there's not a lot of dirt in there, you're fine. I washed the outside really well. Here we go. So we've got some celery in there. And for any of your soups, what vegetables do you like? Remember, we need to be eating 10 to 12 cups of vegetables a day. 10 to 12 cups of vegetables a day. So the more, the merrier. The more, the merrier. The more vegetables that go in your body, the better. Okay? Now, for this recipe, I love broccoli, and again, more the merrier, so I'm just gonna throw the broccoli in there. My onions are almost translucent, not completely, they're almost translucent. And you might wanna cut up the broccoli smaller. Bigger pieces are fine too. Just gonna turn the heat down a little bit. This is all gonna cook. Not necessarily, the saute is just to get the flavor going, Of course, you can't forget your freshly cracked black pepper. Did I put salt in this one? I don't think I put salt in this one. We're gonna put a little bit of salt, just a little bit, because I'm gonna use turkey broth for this. Okay, now, while that's cooking, I wanna show you a couple of things. First of all, go back to last year's episode where I show you how to carve a turkey. I literally cooked the turkey and I showed you how to carve it. Now, for this soup, you can use whatever leftover meat you have. And I had leftover meat from a rotisserie chicken that I chopped up, and I have it all ready. I don't want that to get dry, so I'm not gonna add it just yet. So we're gonna keep that aside. But what I am gonna do, it's about time for a little bit of broth. Other times what I do is I get frozen vegetables. You make sure that if you're gonna get frozen vegetables, that it doesn't have any seasonings on it. You want straight up frozen vegetables. And, oh yeah, let me put the broth in first. So I've got some turkey broth, but if you can't find turkey broth and you have chicken broth, then you use chicken broth. It's all good, it's fine. Whatever broth that you have. Be careful when it comes to broths and bouillons. I absolutely go organic with all of my stocks and bouillons, because when it's organic, you are absolutely assured not to get something that's called MSG. MSG is added to a lot of foods and under 78 plus different names that are ambiguous, and people don't realize that they're getting MSG. Unfortunately, I suffered from Lyme disease for over 5 years. Actually, it was chronic, so it took me 5 years to get rid of it, but for longer than that. And anytime I eat MSG, it literally affects my brain and I can't make sentences, kind of like I'm doing now, but I didn't have MSG. So I am uber aware that stocks and bouillons have MSG in it. It literally passes the blood-brain barrier and it destroys your brain cells, which we don't want. All right, I had some leftover chicken broth, and we want about 8 cups of a liquid in here. It's fine if it's chicken. I wouldn't do beef. I don't think beef and turkey would go really, or beef and chicken would go really well together, but maybe you think it does, and that's okay. And that is okay, okay? And that is not quite 8 cups, but I could add water if I wanted to. Or I could, you know what else I have? That's the other thing, bone broth. Bone broth full of collagen, extremely good for you. I have this in the fridge, and I'll add, because I used about a cup for the stuffing, and I don't want to cheat my soup. I could put all of the broth in there if I wanted to as well. Okay, so we've got that broth. And the next thing that's going to go in is my cooked butternut squash. So remember, I cut it, put it in pieces, put it on a flat tray, and cooked it 400 degrees for about, I don't know how long we cooked it for, about 60 minutes we cooked that for. Okay, putting that right in there. You can use carrots if you want. I love butternut squash. It is abundant this time of the year. The flavor is just, makes me so happy. I love the flavor of butternut squash. So this is going to come to a boil, so I'm going to pick the temperature up, bring that to a boil. I'm going to add the chicken last after it boils and into the simmer, okay? I'm going to put kale in this soup. Why am I going to use kale? Kale has got probably 20 times more nutrition than spinach. And this is a purple kale. I love this kale. It's gorgeous. And the other kale that you can get is just a green kale. Look how beautiful the green kale is. I just thought that the purple kale was going to be so pretty for this soup. So what I did, as you can see, I've got all of my kale that's stemmed. These stems, ooh, I was supposed to put them in with the onions, but that's okay. I'm going to chop them up and put them into the soup, okay? And this is what I did. You strip them. You strip it like that, and then I layered them on top of each other, and then I chopped them up, okay? Once again, you don't want to do 20,000 different chops. A couple of chops are just as good. Now, this should have been gone, these stems should have gone into the onions, but it's okay if it's not going into the onions. They're still going to get cooked. And you're like, stems? Yeah, my assistant was about to put them in the compost, not realizing that there's so much fiber in these stems and so much nutrition, you do not want to waste them. There's a lot of fiber, so it's chewy, so that's why I'm cutting them up into smaller pieces, and it'll cook up in the soup. It'll cook up beautiful. And you're like, ooh, what is this wonderful flavor of this soup? Ooh, why am I feeling so much energy? It's the soup, it's the vegetables. We need to have 10 to 12 cups of vegetables a day. I think I say that in almost every single episode. 10 to 12 cups of vegetables a day, and this is how we are going to achieve it. This is how we're going to achieve it. Put it right in. Again, if you have a frozen bag of mixed vegetable medley, put it in there. As many vegetables as you can. Okay, so I've got all the stems in there. I'm waiting to bring this up to a boil. Come on, up to a boil. There we go. It's going to take a couple more minutes. And this is all the kale that's already been chopped by my lovely assistant, Sakura, putting that right in the soup. I'm not going to use it all. I don't want to overwhelm my soup with too much kale, but it will wilt. It will wilt down. Okay? So is that a piece of kale? Yeah, it is. Okay. Now, I think this needs a little bit more liquid because I put all those vegetables in there, so it probably needs a little bit more of liquid. And remember, I call myself the lazy inspirational chef. So you go by what flavors you love, what vegetables you love, and what inspires you. Right now, I'm inspired to put a little bit more water in there. And I have a little water right here, so I'm going to add a little more water to the mix. Okay, just a little more water. If you had bouillon, if you wanted to do like the bouillon cubes, make sure they're organic. You could have done the bouillon cubes as well as water, right? Bouillon cubes with water. Okay, we're going to put this aside for now. And this is going to cook. We're going to let it boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to add the chicken, and then I'm going to simmer it for just a little bit. But we're going to go back to the butternut squash stuffing. I'll be right back. Okay, our butternut squash stuffing, sorry, loud noise, is the butternut squash is cooked in here now. So this is cooked, and now I need to dump this into here. And so that, because it's heavy and I only want to dump it once, I'm going to put it in here with a spatula. And I know I have a spatula. Here we go. I have a spatula somewhere in my life. I'm just going to bring that nice and close. Am I going to mix it in here, or am I going to mix it in there? Let me do it this way. Sorry, doing too many things at once. Here we go. I love cast iron skillets. They are a phenomenal cooking tool. And unfortunately, when you have some pain in your hands or your wrists, it might not be the best tool. But for my induction cooker, it cooks really well with the cast iron skillet. It needs something to magnetize on an induction. It's the only thing I can get on my stovetop here, I mean on my countertop here. And the cast iron skillet magnetizes beautifully. Okay. Now I put the lid on so that my butternut squash cooked up a little bit better, but unfortunately it made a bunch of water. We don't want all of this water. I might want a little bit of it, but not all of it. So that's why I'm not putting all of that water in here. Okay, let's mix this all up. Now another thing you could do if it looks like it's way too watery to you, you could always put a little bit of almond flour in there, a little bit of almond flour, not breadcrumbs, almond flour, and you don't have to. Actually, I think for this one I do want some almond flour. That'll help bind things together when you put a little almond flour. It's not in my original recipe, and if you do get a little bit too watery, you can add about a cup of almond flour. Yep, thank you, dear. I am so fortunate to have such an awesome assistant. Okay. Almond flour. Remember, if you do have almond flour, stored in the refrigerator and or freezer, okay? Look how beautiful this is. I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, your family will love, love, love this dish. So now I'm going to put it in the casserole dish, and then I'm going to bake it. The oven is on 375 for about an hour, okay? Here we go. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Look at all this goodness. All of these vegetables in stuffing, where typically stuffing is bread and it's just filler. And at Thanksgiving, you're so stuffed from eating too much bread stuff. And this is going to be the complete opposite. It's going to give you energy so you can go out for a walk. You can go and play with the family, play ball in the backyard, do something fun, play games, read books, look at old photo albums and make fun of each other. Have some fun with it. No, I'm not going to put any more liquid. I have enough liquid in here. And there we have it. This is going to go in the oven and for about an hour, and I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. The soup is done, and so is the butternut squash stuffing. I'm so excited to dish this out for you. Oh, you've got to smell this. You've got to smell this, and I know you can probably smell it on the other side of the camera over there. I put the chicken in just as it came to a boil, and I let it simmer for just a little bit longer. And look what we have, this beautiful, thick, rich, amazingly full of nutrition, delicious soup that is wonderful for you, for your family, for your loved ones, for your neighbors. Yes, I feed my neighbors and my friends all the time, especially after a show. I call them up. You coming over? And we get to spend time together. But what better time to spend together than over a nutritious meal with the people that you love. Now, you can serve that with a dollop of olive oil, some fresh olive oil, just sprinkle that right on, okay? And then a pinch of, if you want to put a little extra sea salt on there, some finishing salt, you can do that, not too much, okay? and serve that obviously with a pretty little spoon. And there you have it. A wonderful, tantalizing turkey/chicken soup. Okay, there we have it. So let's dish out this butternut squash stuffing. This butternut squash stuffing. It looks like stuffing, it acts like stuffing, it's thick like stuffing, and it makes a beautiful side dish to a nice piece of turkey, or better yet, if you are not a turkey fan, fill the rest of your plate with a beautiful salad or some steamed vegetables or whatever else that there is, and that is available for you on the day that you're eating these wonderful foods, whether it's on the day of gratitude, on Thanksgiving, or before or after, because you know, after Thanksgiving, we've got all this leftover turkey, and turkey is abundant everywhere this whole month. So we're going to have tantalizing turkey soup and wonderful butternut squash stuffing. Thank you so much for being here today, and I am so grateful to each and every one of you for watching my episodes and sharing them with your friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until next time, namaste. Bye for now, everyone. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.